Welcome to another One Soccer special, your home for soccer in Canada. I am Gareth Wheeler, and today, really a banner day for CONCACAF as they announced a revamped, bigger, better than ever Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League that's coming hopefully to your homes in our region come 2023 and 24. And for Canada Soccer, well, we're outsiders no longer. This competition looks to ensure that at least 3 Canadian club teams will be in the competition on an annual basis. For more on what this is all about and to help pull back the curtain a little bit, it is the president of CONCACAF, FIFA vice president, your friend and mine, Victor Montagliani. Victor, congratulations on this. You at CONCACAF have been extremely busy during this COVID-19 period, bringing in some pretty sweeping changes to the women's game, the men's game as well. And today, an absolute banner announcement. Congratulations on this. Why was this the best solution to take this region and the crown jewel in terms of club football and competition forward in this way?
Thanks, Gareth. Thanks for your kind words. And first and foremost, I hope everybody that's listening and everybody in Canada is doing well. I know that you've all had a tough year, but there's obviously some light at the end of the tunnel here. So hopefully we can have a summer that looks like some of the other summers look. So, and have people in the stands watching football, as they say. No, for us, listen, I think this is part of our evolution. When I first walked through the door 4.5 years ago or so, our philosophy was football first and also unity. And I think unity, we've shown that with sort of our One CONCACAF vision and how our member associations interact now. But it's also the football. I mean, as you rightly said, we change it on the national team front with our Nations League and the expansion of the Gold Cup. And now we've changed it on the women's side with, bringing in a new competition. Also bringing in a Nations League on the women's side. And so now it was time to address the club situation. We had tweaked the Champions League a couple of years ago to have a more sort of home and away impactful sort of elimination round. But we had not built a foundation, in my opinion, of a Champions League. So to me, it was more akin to a Champions tournament than a Champions League. So we thought that we needed to build a club structure in this region. And so we wanted to give it a bit of a spine so that, it would sort of enhance the regions. Some need more than others, obviously. But this is an opportunity to really have the Champions League as the core for club competition. So you have, and build out from there, whether it's in the Caribbean, who now will have not only the professional leagues there access, but also have a cup competition, same in Central America. And then in North America, which is specific to your viewers, giving the Canadian League an opportunity to have direct access and also Canadian Championship and obviously the MLS and Liga MX, sort of expanding on those rivalries as well. So to me, it's about relevancy, and our clubs need to be relevant not only domestically, but also internationally. And I think this is the pathway for it.
Before we get into what this means for Canadian football, Victor, 50 teams in this competition. It's a lot of teams, but the way that it's broken down regionally, it makes a lot of sense, and it doesn't seem too overwhelming to the viewer or the consumer or the supporter of this competition. And the group stage is back, something that we're familiar with in this competition, but to go along with the new format of the tournament style football as well. Why was this the best structure for this tournament to kind of move forward with?
Just because we felt that we had too many pieces out there that were just lingering. CONCACAF League, yes, it was good, but it wasn't tied enough to the Champions League. Also, we had the Caribbean Shield and other things like that were kind of just floating out there. We just felt that it's sort of like, I'll use a American football term when, John Madden, the great commentator, used to say, if you have a running back by committee, that means you have no running back. Wow. We had Champions League by a tournament, then we had all these other things floating around. Quite frankly, we didn't have much. So So we needed to really clamp down on the Champions League, make it a real Champions League that lasted 7 to 8 months, a group stage, a knockout stage, and then having everything else underneath that fill in. So, the group stage is now 50 teams, but also if you look at the cup competitions in the Caribbean and Central America, that is potentially another 32 teams. That's going to help the development of club football in the region, and something for people to strive for. And now they'll have the narrative of, okay, well, you have a club. Well, what does that mean? You want me to sponsor you for what? And they're like, well, here, for this. And so there's a narrative there, just like the Nations League is now become a narrative for many of our member associations. So I think this narrative is the one that's going to sort of build a base for club football, but also address the top end of the game for our big clubs who will compete more often, will compete at the highest level, and also prepare them for the expanded Club World Cup that FIFA has coming around the corner. Because, CONCACAF has performed historically, I think we're 5th out of 6 confederations in terms of results at the Club World Cup. That's unacceptable for me. And so, it's nice to say that we have big leagues, but big leagues in relation to who? And so I think we need to solidify our Champions League, make it better, make the leagues better, demand that they become better. And also that will result in international results. Ironically, today, Tigres pulled off a great result, beating the Asian champion, and now they're in the semifinal. So, I think this structure will serve us well as we move forward with sort of the club environment.
I'm glad you brought that up. Gignac, always love watching him play. Big player, big occasion. Palmeiras coming up later on this week, which should be wonderful as well. So the two terms that come to mind, Victor, and you touched on it, opportunity for development across maybe, nations and clubs that traditionally are outside the usual powerhouses, but also the one that comes to my mind first and foremost is regional rivalries. The fact that 20 teams in North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico will join in this group stage and all play one another. So you could see Tigres coming to Winnipeg to take on Valor. I mean, I would love to see the scene up there at that time. Just how difficult was it getting the Canadian Premier League, Major League Soccer, Liga MX all aligned to kind of go forward with this structure?
Yeah, to be honest with you, it wasn't really that difficult. I think, listen, at the end of the day, it's our competition. At the end of the day, we call the shots. But having said that, they're stakeholders and they're important stakeholders. And so, I can tell you the attitude of the North American leagues was outstanding from day one. They bought in immediately. They saw the benefit of it. Sure, there was discussion on certain line items here and there, and that also will continue in terms of calendar discussion. But I take my hat off to the, especially the MLS and Liga MX, who have been excellent from the beginning in our discussions in this matter. And sort of that also is in Central America. So, and if you saw our final last night of the CONCACAF League, outstanding game, 2 big clubs. Those 2 big clubs are just going to get better, right? And so, as you saw, there's no reason why, from a CPL or Central American perspective, that they can't knock off, the supposed giants of MLS, and we've seen it before in our own competition. So, that's the beauty about football, and this framework sets that up, right? And as a fan, forget about as the president of CONCACAF, as a fan, I want to see this. I want to see a CPL team play an MLS team. I want to see an MLS team play a Liga MX team. Maybe I shouldn't even say this, but sometimes I'm cheering for the underdog, right? Because it makes football better. I mean, that's just human nature, right? And so I think it really sets up well for those narratives moving forward.
Well, the leagues have to make some sacrifices in terms of scheduling, Victor, because it's going to be more games, which I always think is a good thing for television properties, for the average fan as well. You want to see your team play top competition as much as possible. So will there have to be any concessions made by the individual leagues?
Yeah, I mean, those have already been made, which is why we made the announcement today. So we haven't pinpointed the exact, date, like it's September the 15th or something like that in 2023. But those have already been done. Now, there'll be a bit of tweaking, but they also know, listen, there is nothing like official competition, right? And at the end of the day, You ask any club in the world that, and this is no disrespect to domestic football, but do you want to win your domestic league or do you want to win the Champions League? I think we all know the answer to that pretty much in almost every country in the world. And so why shouldn't CONCACAF be any different? Why shouldn't, you want to win everything. You want to win your domestic league, your domestic cup, and you want to win the Champions League. It'd be great. So I think, we're now, I think, set up for that relevancy, quite frankly, where the biggest game of the year will be the CONCACAF Champions League final.
Well, and the route to get there is going to be that much more difficult, right? At the club level. Absolutely. There's something in it for everyone in terms of the format of this competition, but notwithstanding your role as president of CONCACAF, you're a Canadian. You have history with the Canadian Soccer Association, and I'm calling this a banner day for Canadian soccer. Players, staff members, clubs, they're going to be under the spotlight more so than ever before at the club level. 2 Canadian Premier League teams on an annual basis are going to be joining this, as well as the winner of the Canadian Championship. And it could be plus with MLS play. Finally, sanity prevails, Victor, where Canadian teams are going to be considered a part of Major League Soccer. Why was this such an important element in constructing this new format, the Canadian angle, the Canadian advantage, where I really mean it when I say it? It just seems like come 2023, Canada will be outsiders no more.
Yeah, listen, I think it's a banner day, just period, for everybody, and especially in the club sort of environment. I mean, I've already had calls from club presidents, both in MLS and Liga MX, that love it, and they're looking forward to having their clubs play in the group phase. The way we structured it, it's a Swiss format, so you're playing 4 games, 2 home, 2 away. It's not home and away, so it's different teams. Every game's going to mean something, not to get actuarial on you, but this format will have the lowest percentage of potential dead games that unfortunately we've seen significant amount of in other jurisdictions. But this will have, like, the potential of dead games is like 4% or something ridiculous because of the way we've structured it. So that's going to be exciting. So every group stage game will mean a lot. You're not going to have, unfortunately, a situation where you had the 2 best players in the world playing in a Champions League game and it meant nothing. And I know that UEFA already is changing their format that they will announce soon because they've addressed that issue. So you're going to see that more often. And the other thing is, from a Canadian perspective, yeah, listen, I mean, this has always been, as you know, in my past life. I always, I was quoted as saying when I was president of Canadian Soccer, I wake up in the morning thinking about the Canadian player, not the American player. Well, I wake up in the morning now thinking about every player. And so for me, it's important that those MLS teams, Canadian MLS teams, at the end of the day, they're MLS teams. They're no different than the team on the other side of the border. And we need to treat them that way. And so it wasn't so much just a Canadian thing. It just happened to be Canada, but it's because the MLS deserves to be treated that way as a league. And, it's one of our top leagues in our region and has the potential to be one of the top leagues in the world. And so we need to treat it accordingly. And so I just think it's the right thing to do. And to be honest with you, there was absolutely zero pushback by anybody. It was just one of those things that was there. And nobody really even paid attention to it until it actually became a problem. I guess it was a couple years ago, right? Where Toronto's in the final, and we're like, "Are you what?" Right? So we've addressed it, and away you go, and we move forward now, right? So I think it's good for really club football at all levels, from Canada right down to to Trinidad.
I was going to say, I mean, you were a huge backer of establishing the Canadian Premier League. And you said it before, it was about creating that professional environment for Canadians to thrive in. I mean, an announcement like this, Victor, it has to be a validation, just a massive shot in the arm for the Canadian Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't spoken to them, but I would think, just looking at it, that now they have 2 spots directly to our group stage, a potential 3rd, obviously. I think it links them to international football. They already have an international flair in their league with Ottawa. And so So they already know that. And so I think it's a great day for the Canadian League, absolutely, in terms of, having now this carrot to build for, and, possibly expand the league, and, and increase, and sort of raise their level on the field and off the field. So I think, yeah, I would see it that way, because I know every other league is seeing it that way.
Lastly on this, Victor, when you're putting this together, how much do you have the broadcasters, television revenue in mind, giving this tournament a little bit more gravitas, make it a little bit more understandable, just the way that it's structured, where there is something for every region within CONCACAF?
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, as we know, football is a business and it's entertainment. We obviously we need to balance that with proper ethos, proper development, but especially at the club level, and especially these type of products, it's a capitalistic environment, and you need to have that. In the same token, you need to balance a little bit of that with doing the right thing and make sure you're also bringing up the development. But yes, I think this product is made for broadcasters and made for media because of the relevancy of each and every match, and the rivalries that it will create. So I think it's made for television.
Amazing. We cannot wait.
Whatever we end up going with.
Yeah, we cannot wait for it. This year's edition of the Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League kicks off April 6th. So make sure you stay tuned. And we're still waiting to see which Canadian team will be representing the Maple Leaf at this summer's or at this spring's tournament. I want to ask you, because we're living in a time where there's moving targets. There's still a lot of cloudy areas of known, Victor. And it's of great concern for Canadian soccer and its great fans right now. Just the state of the World Cup qualifiers, which are coming off, set to begin at the end of March. There's been new travel restrictions placed on Canadians traveling to and from Caribbean nations. What do these restrictions mean for the World Cup qualifiers, when or if they may be played? And is there a drop dead date for these decisions to be made?
Yeah. So listen, it sort of landed on our front door now from a Canadian perspective, but the world has been dealing with this since the summer, and other confederations have played World Cup qualifying, whether it's September, October, November, and now it's our turn. And so we have been in constant contact. I mean, first of all, you have to understand World Cup qualifying is not a CONCACAF event. It is a FIFA event and a federation. So the onus is on the federations to organize themselves. However, having said that, we are there, lock, stock, and barrel with them, helping them along the way in any which way to facilitate whatever issues they are, whether it's player releases or the quarantine now, the sort of COVID protocols, venues that perhaps that have to be found, neutral venues that have to be found by some of the countries. And so, we're constantly, in fact, there was meetings already this week with each group. My team was there facilitating it. So we're going to help them every which way we can to ensure that the March qualifiers, come off like the ones in September, October, November did in the rest of the world. So, we're in the same situation as everybody. It's not like all of a sudden we're special. So we just have to find the solutions, and every country has a different solution to the issue.
So are you willing to give it as much time as possible to give Canada that chance to play in this country?
Well, listen, I don't think Canada will be playing in March here. There's no chance that's going to happen. So, or very, very little chance. But that's a decision by the Canadian Soccer Federation and the government. I think there has to be confirmation 30 days before the first game. So that is going by World Cup regulations. So I'm just quoting World Cup regulations. So that's February 20th, let's say, right? So it's not far away in terms of where you're going to play. And I think those discussions have been had over the last week or so in terms of every country, per group saying, okay, well, here are my options. Some countries can actually play. Some can't. There's some countries actually that have it's not even a COVID situation. They have a facility situation because their stadium is not up to regulations because, for instance, I know one that was damaged during the hurricane 2 years ago, and it still hasn't been rebuilt. So there's situations at all levels. So it's not just COVID, and we just got to find a solution and move forward, like pretty much every other confederation and every other country has.
Is there any wiggle room for rescheduling, or are you pretty set? Like, these are going to be the dates. Let's go forward.
Well, no, I mean, listen, the format is there. Obviously, if it's compromised at the worldwide level, then it's not CONCACAF we're looking at it. It's UEFA, it's right. CONMEBOL, it's everybody. So I mean, that, to be honest, is not really even a thought right now. The thought is getting through these protocols and all the issues that are upcoming and dealing with them. And I can tell you, even in the early meetings, there seems to be already solutions for pretty much every situation.
Interesting. You can watch World Cup qualifiers right here on One Soccer. You're right. Tournaments, games are being played from a global perspective. It's a big year for CONCACAF, Victor. We have the under-23 Olympic qualifiers coming up at the end of March in Guadalajara. You can also watch those on One Soccer, and the Gold Cup this summer as well. Also on your home for Canadian soccer right here on One Soccer as well. Are you anticipating any potential changes to the format, to the venues, to anything to do with the Gold Cup and those Olympic qualifiers?
No, the Olympic qualifiers will be in March in Guadalajara. I think the Mexican Federation has done a great job, led by Jon de Luisa, in sort of, helping us sort of navigate that. The city of Guadalajara has put out the red carpet. I don't think there'll be any fans, but that's a reality. But in terms of the organization, it'll be fine. The Gold Cup, it's, the format and the groups are already set in stone. In terms of, there'll probably have to be some protocols in place, obviously, from a COVID standpoint. That's not going to go away, maybe for a while. But in terms of having playing it to the venues, we'll announce the venues at some point. We're working on that. And, in terms of fans, that's an interesting situation, because I suspect by the time we get to July the 10th, when the group stage kicks off, July the 2nd is the preliminary stage. I would imagine that you'd have a significant amount of percentage being able to have fans in there, because, I mean, on Sunday, they're putting 25, 30% people into the Super Bowl. So, and that's on February the 8th. With the vaccination plan that's happening in the US, by the time we get to, mid-July, second week of July, we should be in a pretty good position to have people in the stands. Now, what percentage? I can't tell you, but I'm confident that we'll have a significant amount of people in the stands come Gold Cup.
So Gold Cup, I know the venues, I believe they haven't been announced yet. Is there any chance it would be in a bubble? Is that where the plans might be changed? No?
No bubble. Like it'll be, it will be venues in the US. I mean, it's all in the US, right?
Right.
So, so we will have venues in the US like we have every Gold Cup. Obviously there'll be protocols in place, but if we're going to have fans, why you need to have a bubble, right? So, and I would suspect by the time we hit the summer, that there'll be fans going to many, many things, not just Gold Cup.
Lastly, Victor, and I appreciate your time here. Like we mentioned, the new women's competition, the Nations League, now a brand new Scotiabank CONCACAF Champions League. Last time we chatted, we were talking the likes of Alphonso Davies, what he's doing on the world scene. It's Jonathan David, but a number of other American, Mexican, Central American, and Caribbean players are doing extraordinary things in club football across the world. What's the next challenge for you? You must feel like you're sitting on a gold mine to a certain degree, but you can't rush the process of bringing it to the forefront. Like, what is the next challenge for you? What's next on your to-do list?
Yeah, it's interesting you say we're sitting on the gold mine, but there's been a lot of digging been going on here for the last 5 years. So, but I can appreciate it. So some of us can see gold more than others. So you're absolutely right. Listen, to be honest with you, I think it's more patience, right? We always, especially in this time and age where everything has to be faster, right? 4G is not enough. You have to have 5G, probably 6G around the corner. And in football, I think you need to be patient, right? I just heard a great interview with, Everton's coach, Ancelotti, who said that's the key to being a successful manager is, be patient. Lows are lows, highs are highs. Make sure you don't, you're not swinging from those vines, and be patient. And I think that's the same with us. I mean, obviously we're excited about all the things we've done. There's also a lot of things to do, but I think we need to be patient. We need to build it properly, because I think, if any lessons from the past, other than the obvious lessons about the history of football in our region, I think really the one of the lessons learned is be patient, build it correctly, build the right foundation, and it'll grow. Because if you kind of do it too fast with no real proper vision, proper structure, then there's no actual sustainability of it. And so, and it's just a political hit to make whoever, look good. Well, that's not what this is about. This is about sustainability of our football in the region at all levels: men, women, girls, boys, coaches, administrators. And I think for me, that to me is the key for us moving forward in this next decade, really.
I congratulate you, Victor. You're wearing a lot of hats. You're the architect, you're the engineer, you're the construction worker, as well as football is continuing to be built across this region in a way that makes sense. Congratulations. I wish you and yours good health moving forward, and hopefully we'll chat in the near future.
Thanks, Gareth. Take care of yourself, and I wish everybody the best. And I hope to see Canadian fans at the Gold Cup in the stadiums. Let's put it that way.